How many times have we looked at something that happened in our life and immediately called it a disaster? And how many times did that same disaster later turn out to be a hidden blessing? The truth is, we are rarely wise enough to judge life in the moment it arrives. What feels like a loss today may be preparing something far greater tomorrow. What feels painful now may be protecting you from something worse later. But most people do not have the patience to wait and see. Most people rush to celebrate. Most people rush to despair. Most people let one moment decide the meaning of the whole story. Today's story is about a simple village woman who understood something most people struggle with their entire lives. The art of patience. While everyone around her celebrated too quickly or grieved too deeply, she stayed calm. Through every storm and every sunrise, life proved her right in the most powerful way. So, stay with this story until the end, because it may change the way you look at every good and bad thing that happens in your life. A long time ago, beneath the soft green slopes of a quiet valley, there stood a small village where life moved with the rhythm of rain, harvest, and prayer. Tall trees shaded the winding dirt roads. A clear river curved gently through the land like a silver ribbon. Beyond the fields, a bright waterfall slipped down dark rocks and filled the air with a soft, steady sound. After rainfall, the leaves shone with tiny silver drops, and the earth smelled rich and fresh. Birds crossed the sky each morning above the small village roofs, while the evening light turned the whole valley golden. It was a simple place, a place where people worked with their hands, shared stories under old trees, and measured life by what they owned, what they lost, and what others thought of them. Among those villagers lived a woman named Sariya. She was not rich. She was not powerful. Her home was small, built from mud walls, wood, and a roof of dried grass. She lived there with her husband, their only son, and her very old grandfather. The family did not have much. A small piece of land, a few cows, some farming tools, an old cart, a loyal dog that barked at strangers after sunset. But there was one thing they treasured above everything else: a horse. He was tall, graceful, and strong, with a deep shining coat and sharp, intelligent eyes. Sariya had raised him from a colt, and over the years he had become more than just an animal. He had become part of the family. Now, what made Sariya truly different from everyone else in the village was not what she owned. It was how she lived. No matter what happened, good or bad, she never lost her calm. When the rain came late and the crops suffered, she did not curse the sky. When the harvest was good, she did not boast. When neighbors gained something, she did not envy them. When something went wrong, she did not collapse in fear. She simply worked, prayed, and accepted life with a quiet, steady heart. And the reason for that calm was her grandfather. He was very old, with white hair, slow steps, and quiet eyes that seemed to have watched life for a very long time. Since Sariya was a little girl, he had taught her the same lesson again and again. Do not judge life too quickly. Only time reveals what is good and what is bad. Be patient. Be thankful. Keep your faith strong. Those words had entered her deeply. The villagers, however, could never fully understand her calmness. Some said she was wise. Others said she was strange. Some even whispered that she was a fool, pretending to be peaceful because she did not know how harsh life really was. But Sariya never argued. She simply returned to her work in the field, the yard, or the house, while the river flowed nearby, and the waterfall kept singing its endless song. One warm afternoon, while sunlight lay across the fields and the river flashed between the trees, a wealthy trader passed through the village. He came with servants, fine cloth, and heavy bags of money. He was the kind of man whose shoes alone looked worth more than many villagers earned in a season. When he saw Sariya's horse standing near the field, he stopped in amazement. He stepped closer, ran his eyes slowly over the horse's body, then said at once, "I want to buy this horse." The villagers gathered quickly. A rich buyer was rare enough. A rich buyer offering money for such a horse was even rarer. The trader named a price so large that several people gasped. It was more money than Sariya's family could save in many years. The villagers whispered excitedly, "She must accept. This is fortune." She would be foolish to refuse. With that money, her family could live well for years. But Sariya gently placed her hand on the horse's neck and said, "This horse is not simply an animal to us. He has lived with our family for years. He is not for sale. The trader laughed lightly and offered more. Still, she refused. He raised the price again, even higher than before. The villagers leaned forward, hardly believing what they were hearing. But Sariya only shook her head. This horse not for sale. At last, the trader left, disappointed, and the village erupted with gossip. What a foolish woman, people said. She's thrown away fortune with her own hands. She could have changed her family's life forever. She had one great chance and refused it. Some shook their heads in pity. Others laughed quietly beneath the trees. A few told their own families. This is what happens when people do not understand opportunity. But Sariya said nothing. She simply returned to her work. A few days later, something shocking happened. One morning, her son went to the stable and found it empty. The rope was loose. The gate was partly open. The horse was gone. At first, they thought he might be grazing nearby, but he was nowhere in the field. Nowhere near the river. Nowhere by the waterfall path. Nowhere along the road. Sariya, her husband, and her son searched all day. They walked the field borders, followed hoof marks to the edge of the forest, searched along the riverbank, called into the trees, asked in nearby farms and neighboring roads, but there was no sign of the horse. By evening, the village already knew, and once again the whispers began. We told her. She should have taken the trader's money. Now she has no horse and no gold. What a terrible loss. She refused fortune and chose sorrow. That night, Sariya's son sat beside her outside the house, while wind moved softly through the tall trees and the river reflected the fading orange light. Mother, he said quietly, we have lost the most valuable thing we had. How can you still be calm? Sariya looked toward the hills for a long moment. Then she answered in her usual steady voice. My son, what looks like a loss today may not be a loss tomorrow. Do not rush to call this a disaster. We do not know enough yet. Only time reveals what is good and what is bad. Be patient. Be thankful. Keep your faith strong. Her son listened, but he did not understand. Pain always wants fast answers. Patience asks us to wait. The next few days felt heavier than usual. The field looked emptier without the horse. The stable looked painfully silent. The dog wandered near it at night, as if searching for the missing presence. Even the village's eyes seemed sharper, as though waiting for Sariya to finally regret her choice. But Sariya remained the same. She worked. She prayed. She stayed calm. Then, about a week later, just after sunrise, something unbelievable happened. Mist still lay low across the fields. Birds moved between the wet branches. The sound of the waterfall carried clearly through the cool morning air. Suddenly, Sariya's son heard the thunder of hooves. He stepped outside and froze. The horse had returned, but he had not returned alone. Behind him came 5 wild horses, strong, untamed, restless, and magnificent. They followed him from the edge of the forest into the field as if he had led them home himself. The village was stunned. The same people who had called Sariya foolish now rushed to her home with wide eyes and excited voices. You are the luckiest family in the valley. Your horse returned with 5 more. You are richer now than before. Now your family will become one of the strongest in the village. Children ran beside the field in excitement. Men stood counting the horses again and again. Women whispered that heaven had rewarded the family after all. But Sariya only smiled softly and said to her son, do not celebrate too soon. We still do not know what this means. Only time will tell. Her son looked at her in disbelief. How could she still remain so calm? The horses were beautiful, strong, a gift beyond anything they had imagined. But Sariya refused to call it a blessing too quickly. The very next day, her son decided to begin taming one of the wild horses. He chose the strongest one, proud, fiery, restless, with power in every movement. The villagers gathered to watch. Some cheered him on. Some praised the family's rising fortune. Some already spoke as if the story had reached its happy ending. At first, he mounted carefully, but the horse bucked violently. It twisted, leaped, and threw him hard to the ground. A terrible crack sounded across the yard. His leg had broken badly. The village healer came quickly. The bone was set and wrapped tightly. They were told he would need many weeks to recover, and perhaps he would never walk quite the same again. And once again, the village changed its voice. These horses brought trouble. What looked like a blessing became a curse. Now the boy may suffer for life. The family's fortune has turned against them. That night, soft rain began falling over the village. Drops tapped against the roof. The river moved quietly in the dark. The waterfall sounded heavier in the wet night air. The leaves above the yard dripped slowly, one after another. Sariya's son lay in pain and looked at his mother. Was this also meant for some reason? Ask it. Sariya sat beside him and answered gently. The same rain that floods one place gives life to another. Do not judge this moment too quickly, my son. We still cannot see the whole story. Only time can tell. Be patient. Be thankful. Keep your faith strong. He closed his eyes. He still did not understand, but now he wanted to. Then, only 2 weeks later, the unthinkable happened. One morning, the sound of drums echoed through the village. Trumpets followed. Then came the king's soldiers. They arrived with a royal command. A war had broken out on the northern border. Every healthy young man in the village was to be taken immediately into the army. There were no excuses, no delays, no mercy. One by one, the young men were pulled from their homes. Sons who had only known fields and plows. Brothers who had never held a sword. Boys who had spent their lives beneath village skies were marched away beneath dust and fear. Mothers cried openly. Fathers stood in stunned silence. The whole village felt as if its future had been torn from it. Then, the soldiers came to Sariya's house. They looked inside and saw her son lying there with his legs still bound tightly in wooden splints. One soldier shook his head. This one is useless to the army, he said, and they moved on. For a long moment after they left, no one in the house spoke. Only the river spoke. Only the waterfall spoke. Only the wind and the tall trees moved around them like a long hidden answer. Months passed. The war was long and brutal. When it finally ended, the news returned slowly, like a dark wind moving from house to house. Many of the young men who had been taken did not come back. Some homes received only silence. Some others waited for footsteps that would never be heard again. Some fathers walked the fields alone, unable to call the sons who once worked beside them. And there, beneath the same tall trees, beside the same river, in the same village now filled with grief, Sariya's son was alive, still healing, still home, still breathing, under the same sky. The 5 wild horses had by then begun helping the family work more land than before. Their beloved old horse grazed peacefully nearby. One evening, as the sky turned deep orange and purple, and the waterfall spoke softly in the distance, Sariya sat with her son and her grandfather beneath the old tree behind their home. The son looked at them with new eyes. Now I understand, he sighed softly. Every time I thought life had turned against us, something else was being prepared. The old grandfather smiled faintly. Then, in the slow, calm voice that had shaped Sariya's life, he said, "This is one of the greatest lessons life can teach a person. Never celebrate too quickly, and never grieve too deeply. Life is like a river. It bends where you cannot see. What looks painful today may be preparing mercy tomorrow." He paused, then continued. The horse leaving looked like disaster, but he returned with 5 more. Your broken leg looked like punishment, but it saved your life. If we had judged too quickly, we would have misunderstood everything. That evening, the son finally understood. Not just with his mind, with his heart. And this story teaches us the same timeless lesson. Patience. Patience does not mean doing nothing. Patience means refusing to let one moment decide the meaning of the whole story. Patience means not celebrating too quickly when life feels easy. Patience means not collapsing too early when life feels hard. Patience means waiting long enough for time to reveal what the moment cannot. Think about your own life for a moment. How many times did something painful happen and you thought it was the end? A failed exam, a lost job, a broken relationship, a painful delay, a financial struggle, a closed door, You beg to stay open. And yet later, maybe much later, you look back and realize that the very thing you called terrible had quietly pushed you toward something better. A new path. A stronger version of yourself. A deeper faith. A life you would never have reached otherwise. That is why patience is not weakness. Patience is wisdom. It is the strength to say, I do not understand this moment yet, so I will not judge it too quickly. Life does not unfold in straight lines. It bends, it turns, it surprises. What looks like a curse today may become your greatest blessing tomorrow, and what feels like a reward may carry a hidden challenge within it. That is why we must not let one moment decide the meaning of the whole story. The complete picture is always larger than the piece we can see today. So the next time life shocks you, the next time something leaves you confused, the next time a moment feels painful, unfair, or impossible to understand, take a breath and remember Sariya's family. Only time reveals what is good and what is bad. Be patient. Be thankful. Keep your faith strong. Do not celebrate too soon. Do not grieve too early. Life has a way of turning things around. Wait for the full story. Like this video, if the story spoke to you, share it with someone who needs this message today. And comment below, what is one moment in your life that first looked painful, but later became a hidden blessing? Don't forget to subscribe to Meratic Dailies for more simple English stories with deep life lessons. Until next time, stay patient, stay grateful, and keep moving forward in life.